Hey y'all, welcome back to Get Naked with Mary. Thought that I would pop in today and say hello and see how you're doing. Thanks to everyone who has reached out. Thank you. I guess he wanted to be a part of this. Thank you to everyone who, like I said, has reached out or gotten a hold of me in some way. I hope that y'all are doing okay. And yeah, so I hope you're having a good week and that something great has happened for you. I just thought that I would check in and just maybe talk about setting boundaries for a minute. And I don't know about y'all, but that has definitely been such a crucial thing for me to learn, and one that has not been very easy. I tend to be I tend to be pretty upfront and blunt, but in certain situations, I I have a real had a real difficult time setting boundaries, uh, especially if it came to work or someone that I really that I really cared about or really loved, or was kind of in a new relationship. Not that I would change who I was, really, um, but I definitely come from the place of a people pleaser and someone who wants to fix things, um, in certain circumstances. Um, and I feel like this is because I've always had to do things on my own, which that's not coming from a place of that's not what I mean. That's not at all what I mean. And like I've stated before, like there are times when we have all been the victim of something. We've all been treated poorly. We've all been mistreated or gotten blamed for something that was not really our fault, but we had to deal with the aftermath. But when I say this, I mean I wouldn't be who I am today if I hadn't had the past experiences that I've had. And having said that, I've become extremely, as I'm sure all of y'all have, I've become extremely resilient, extremely adaptable. Um, and I'm working on this too. I think I've got a pretty good handle on this, but the living in survival mode, which we've talked about before. But it's been difficult to learn to set boundaries, and that was um, another thing that I focused on during the whole quarantine lockdown thing, because I had been so used to working multiple jobs and sometimes going months and months without a day off. And then on top of that, if somebody needed something or somebody asked me for something, or work called or whatever, I they knew that they knew that I would never say no unless it was you know was at home with kidney stones or something. I remember leaving, um, one of my daughter's birthday parties because they called and they sounded desperate, and it's anyway, that would not happen today. But yeah, so learning to set boundaries has definitely been a challenge for me in work relationships, as well as, hopefully he doesn't start barking, in work relationships as well as personal relationships. And one of the things that has helped me through this is I ask myself, would they do the same for me? And if the answer is no, especially if it's no just because they wouldn't, they could, but they wouldn't, then no, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to put my life on hold or change things. You know, if they wouldn't reciprocate. And I want to be clear here is when you're coming from a place of love, when you're coming from a healthy place, it's not, you don't give things or do things just because they'll be reciprocated or because someone will owe you something, or you know what I mean. That's not what I'm talking about. I am so sorry he's being so rude, but that's not what I'm talking about. I just mean, you know, we've probably all had those jobs, especially if you've been in the service industry, where they expect your life to revolve around them, and you know, the second you're very easily replaced. Like you could you know, walk out the door and never come back, and they would have you replaced in 10 minutes. Like it's just how it is, especially in the service industry. And I've learned that, especially secularly, especially for work or something like that, like you deserve to have a life too. Like your life should not revolve around someone else's business. Yes, it's the way you make money, but there definitely needs to be some appreciation. There definitely needs to be some reciprocation. There definitely needs to be some give and take and some balance in that situation. You can't bend over backwards for a company that would, you know, kick you out the door and not think twice. But the same can go for people. Same does go for people. But I know that can be a little bit more difficult. I came from a place of, I started talking about this a minute ago, but I came from a place where, you know, I had to learn these things on my own. I had to do these things on my own. I had to figure things out on my own. Which again has made me who I am and has made me extremely resilient. But I feel like if I'm in a position where I can help someone so that they're not alone and so they don't have to struggle the way that I did, why not help? Which on the surface is, you know, I mean, it sounds okay, right? But when that comes down to you not taking care of yourself, you always putting someone else first, feeling guilty if you say no, feeling guilty if you know, don't answer the phone or don't answer the text the second you get it. You have the right to your own happiness. You have the right, if you don't feel like talking to anyone or talking to someone, if it's not an emergency, you have the right to not answer the phone. You have the right to, you know, turn your phone off. You have the right and the obligation to take care of yourself first. What is that when, like, when you're on an airplane and one of the first things they say, you know, when they're doing the emergency exits are here and here, what's the thing they say that you have to put the mask on yourself first, the oxygen mask on yourself first before you try and help anyone else? Because if you don't have oxygen, what are you going to do for anybody? You can't do anything. So you have to take care of yourself first. And again, I know that is not easy. But try it. Try it for one day. And if you don't think you can do it for one day, try it for, you know, half a day. Try it one instance at a time. But really ask yourself, you know, is this reciprocated? Is this balanced? Am I the one who's always giving? Am I the one who's always, you know, listening to his problems? Am I the one that's always listening to her problems? You know, do they check on me? Do they, do they also give to this relationship, no matter what kind of relationship that is? That's real. It's real important. And I know that it sounds simple, but we all know that it's not. Like it can take some real discipline and some real trial and error, and a lot of introspection to figure out if we're doing that, if we're a people pleaser or a fixer, or if we're actually taking care of ourselves. But yeah, so I want you to think about that, especially if you're tired and you're exhausted and you feel like you haven't had a minute to yourself. Really put some thought into that. And again, some of the things that helped me were asking those questions, but journaling, meditating, sitting out in the sun for 5 minutes, 3 minutes if you can't do 5 minutes, taking an extra 5 minutes in the shower, 3 minutes in the shower, but turning the music on super loud and dancing, watching your favorite movie, whatever it is. Just please make sure that you do something for yourself, because you deserve it. And again, I'm sure that you have people in your life that love you. I care about you. I know that you have people in your life that love you, but seriously, no one is ever going to take care of you the way that you take care of you. And that's important. It's super, super important. And you kind of, which again has been kind of a difficult lesson, but you set the example. You set the example on what's acceptable. So just kind of keep that in mind. And again, if you'll like, subscribe, share, I really appreciate that. It helps the channel and helps hopefully get these messages to someone who may need them. Please reach out. You can find me here. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook. I have a TikTok, but I've not done anything with it yet. But anyway, take some time. Do something for yourself. Feel free to drop it in the comments what you did for yourself and how that felt. And if you need anything or have something that you want to talk about, let me know. And yeah, have a great day, and hopefully you have some fun. Talk to you later.